Welcome back to my channel. This is another Warhammer 40k slash eBay rant chit chat type video where I just talk about what's on my mind, whatever comes through. No cuts, no edits, I just let it go. Be sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you keep wanting to hear this type of stuff. I'll keep it coming. Just leave in the comment section if you agree with what I'm saying. If you disagree, whatever, just be nice to other people. I don't care what you say to me, I ignore most of you anyway. Now, your guys' comments are important to me. I promise that. No worries there. So, today's topic, we're talking about some of the other games that I play slash tried to play, but do sell models of in my store, Celestial Tacos on eBay.com. You get all your awesome used miniatures. So, first game I want to talk about is called Malifaux by Weird Games. A skirmish tabletop game. You use crews instead of armies. You get right around 5-10 miniatures, and you do battle for various reasons. I'm not really sure. This skirmish game, instead of using dice to simulate the combat, it uses a deck of cards, and you can use a standard deck of playing cards, or you can scribble on scraps of paper, whatever you want to do. But they do have their own fancy little decks. They're called fate decks. They're actually pretty cool. A lot of awesome imagery, a lot of cool themes behind the entire game itself. It's just a neat little skirmish game. So being a lower model count, there's definitely something a little more appealing to me, because you have a huge army of models. It takes hours and hours to play. It's just, who's got time for that? Man, I got kids, I got a wife, I got responsibilities. It's just hard for me to find time to do anything, let alone play a game moving miniatures around a table for 6 hours at a time. So that's where these skirmish games really, they draw me in, because then they're shorter. You can get more games in a 2-hour period. Still can play and have fun. And with Malifaux, you got the cards, so it's a little different. Not throwing dice across the table, it's chucking cards at each other or whatever they do. So Malifaux is just an interesting game where it's run by cards instead of dice. That's different. It's a smaller skirmish game. It was actually very fun to play, the little tiny bit I played. The other game I tried was Warmachine / Hordes. Now, this is a game by Privateer Press. You control one magic being that can control the rest of your miniatures. Sometimes it's little squads of dudes. Sometimes it's giant war machines or giant beasts. And naturally, being a Space Wolf player, I saw that there was a werewolf faction called Circle of Ouroboros. And, that's pretty dope. There's freaking werewolves you can kick around the table and just hurl at your enemies. It's pretty cool. Now, this game uses dice, is D6, and it also uses these little circular chips, kind of like token things that you can set on top of each other, or at least the ones that come in the starter box you can set on top of each other. And that keeps track of, I don't know, your mana or your force power, or whatever it's called. I've only played the game a couple times. It's been a few years. But that's an interesting little skirmish game too. It's got a little bit of a different vibe to it, because you have to build up your power, and then you can use that to make your beast or your war machine stronger, and you fight for an objective, whatever you want to fight for. But yeah, that's basically War Machine Hordes. But cool little games. The plastic is a little wonky. It's not quite the quality that Games Workshop kicks out. It's, I don't know, it's like a PVC or something instead of the stuff that Games Workshop uses. Research probably would help this a lot more, but who's got time for that? I mentioned in a previous video that I play Magic the Gathering too. And those of you who play Magic, you understand that there's several different, There's several different formats to play this game. It's not just, hey, here's my cards, here's your cards, let's go play. We call that Commander. That's 100 card. There's one called Standard, where it uses the current set cards and a couple sets before cards. That means the cards you're using are going to rotate out, so they're going to be useless to you in 6 months. So no thank you. I want my cards to last forever if I'm going to pay for them. And then you have Modern, which started with, God, I'm going to think about it. It's when the card frame changed originally. So, back in the day, Magic the Gathering folks, you know, leave in the comments what set that was that Modern officially started, and I was never big into Modern. I played 8-Rack for a little while, but never really big into it. Then there's Legacy, which uses pretty much every other card in the game, all the way up to current sets. It has a banned restricted list, so the other formats, those are cards you can't use, or you can only use one of, which is kind of weird. Whatever, keeps the game in balance, quote unquote, but whatever balance is, you tell me. But then the format I really was interested in playing was Pauper, because I'm a cheap bastard, admit it. Back when I started playing Pauper, cards were still cheap because it hadn't really picked up yet. We had the professor talking about Pauper and trying to build it up a little bit, and he did an amazing job, you know, putting his word out into the community about how great Pauper is, and it's just boomed. Not saying he's the sole reason for it, but he is a big influencer for Pauper. We should call him Professor Pauper, honestly. So, you know, there's Pauper. It's all common cards, and any card that was ever printed at common can be used in this format. And you know, for being just common cards, if you know the scale for rarity with these cards, is mythic, rare, uncommon, common, some of those decks are pretty fucking spicy. Like, they probably could stand up against a modern deck or two. And I don't know about legacy decks. Legacy decks rather are out on a whole another fucking plane. Some of those decks are just crazy. But Legacy, you have fair decks and you have unfair decks, where fair decks are basically you're playing Magic against your opponent. You're each putting lands down, you're each drawing cards, you're each playing creatures, you're each casting spells. Unfair decks are, I'm going to mill my whole deck into the graveyard and kill you doing this. Or, I'm going to mill your whole deck into the graveyard and you're going to die because you can't draw a card. And this is all happening on turn 1 or 2. So it's like, it's unfair because your opponent really doesn't get a chance to play. But, so, my favorite format in Magic is EDH, Elder Dragon Highlander, or as more commonly known nowadays, Commander. It's where you choose a legendary creature or a planeswalker. Some planeswalkers can be your commander. And you have them as a card that is always in your hand. So it's set off to the side in an invisible area called the command zone. You can always cast that card. If it dies, gets removed from the game, whatever, it goes back to the command zone if you want it to. You don't have to put it there, apparently. You can go in the graveyard if you want. Sometimes you want it in your graveyard, sometimes you don't. But you always have that card available, and then you get a deck of 99 other cards. Those cards have to be within the colors of your commander. So if your commander is red, black, green, then all the cards in your deck have to be either red, black, green, or a combination of the three. You can also use colorless cards, provided the colorless cards don't have any activations of the other two colors. If you play the EDH Commander, I'm talking on the fucking wall here. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, look into it. It's a pretty cool game. It's, you know, a game that takes a little bit of time to learn, but then once you learn it, it takes forever to master. And once you master it, you might as well just figure out something else to do. Hearthstone. Like every other nerd. Well, not every nerd, but I did anyway. Back in school, I played Pokemon. Well, I collected the cards. I didn't really play. I know how to play now because I eventually learned thanks to their free online client that lets you actually play and trade cards and all that fancy stuff that Magic Arena doesn't let you do. Magic Arena is a whole other topic that I will get into one of these days. I'm actually going to jot that note right down right now. Magic Arena. Read my own handwriting. Good luck with that. We're hitting the 9-minute mark, so real quick, going to touch on one more game that I played. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, back in the day too. Just one of those simple card games that was not simple. It gets complicated as hell, and nobody knows the rules of that game. If you say, all right, well, if you enjoyed this, hit that like and subscribe button. Share this with your friends. Leave some comments below what you think. If you agree, you disagree, tell me I'm an idiot. Fine. You know, my wife does it all the time. Just what we deal with. Thanks for checking out another one of my rants. Check out my eBay store, celestialtacos.com, on ebay.com. But peace out, y'all.